50 states, 7 continents. Wow, we're all over the place. That's right. And I have my dear sister with me, Zakiya, Alake, one of our broadcasters, y'all. And she just moved right on up, right? And she's here with us to talk to us about Black World. We're going to talk today because we want to talk about, there's a lot of things going on. And my dear brother, Thompson, who is a architect, developer, a brother from another mother,
all around,
a community organizer, activist. Both of these individuals worked with me on the Real Talk for Change project, and we're going to be talking more about that as we move on, telling your story, the importance of telling your story, because we all got a story. I'm so excited that we have moved to another level here. We're working with the Boston Globe as our partner on Black News Hour every Friday, two Fridays a month, and then we come on with Boston Black News. Everything sponsored by Boston Black News. We're looking into ways how we can continue to partner with our dear friend, singer and GBH, and we're going to be reaching out to the Banner and other media outlets, because what you hear here in Boston Black News in Common Square is very authentic, transparent, and it's about us. People that look like us, talk like us, and think somewhat like us, but we're not monolithic. So, Zakiya, what's going on?
We're not monolithic.
That's right, not at all.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. What is going on in Black World today? It is so much. I was reading Politico thing this morning, and I was looking at the sheer number of Black and brown people who are running for office right now.
Right.
And it's just, I've never seen anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
In city, statewide, I mean. You know?
Mm-hmm.
We have statewide candidates for the first time. Even if I don't want to support them all to the nth degree, I want to be knowledgeable about what they're doing, how it's going, how they're faring.
Yeah.
And who their supporters are, and what do they, what is it that drives them to really engage with them? This is some exciting times for voting activists like ourselves.
Yeah. And just to name a few, not saying that we're taking sides, we do not endorse here, although we have our favorites individually, and sometimes we may not be on the same side, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
Is today the day we talk about that, or another day? I'm ready. You ready?
I'm always ready. I gotta be ready. But before we talk about that and some of the other candidates, I want you to say a few words. Thompson, my brother.
Oh man. It's I'm in a room of greatness, and I love my Black people.
All right, and I love Black people.
In all shapes, colors, sizes, everything. I'm a big boy, so I love all of my people. But the thing is, we're going to get real today.
That's right.
Because one thing I don't like is black on black crime. Period.
Okay. We're going to get real.
We're going to support everybody in our community the right way. And, I don't want to start off too heavy, but my soul and my heart is saying we got to address this.
Yes.
We really, really do. And when it's under the auspices of protecting each other, but there's ways to do it.
That's right.
Without wrecking each other. And that's right, sister.
I see where we're going. Okay.
And and Boston just happened to be on the spotlight.
National spotlight. Boston Black News. We're national.
That's right.
So we got to talk about it.
So we got it. So brother, sister, let's rock.
The word is the Oscars. Let's start out on a positive note. I am so happy that Samuel L. Jackson received his first Oscar from Denzel Washington. Brothers, beautiful. If you've seen it's on my Facebook page. The post is incredible. Two brothers hugging for their achievement.
Exactly.
For elevation, support of Black people. Then we got the other situation.
Listen.
Will Smith, Chris Rock. sister,
Uh-oh.
my dear, mother.
My dear. Yeah.
Mama San.
There were witnesses. What in the world was he thinking? The slap seen all around the world. I'm so grateful I wasn't watching it with grandchildren who I'm teaching the best I can that violence is not the way. Because what a confusing message. We have all these movies and entertainment properties that preach that violence is the way. You got actors, entertainers such as Will Smith that 1 minute violence is not the way, the next minute he senses that his wife is being insulted by a black comedian. And he walks up on the stage in front of millions of people over the airwaves, or however you say it,
and
right?
the world.
The viewers, the world, millions of people. And he slaps the mess out of this brother who has just insulted his wife through a joke. And I saw it later, on Google. I couldn't help but see it. And I watched it over and over again to be sure it wasn't a joke.
Yes.
Because we black folks aren't allowed to. Look, didn't your mother tell you when you were a little one that anything you do, the race is on your shoulders, whatever you do. We have this legacy to uphold, and I was hurt.
I'm not quick to rush to judgment, but I do want to hear from my brother Corey.
Now, first of all, I have a little bit of disappointment on both ends. First of all, I do not condone any kind of violence.
Right.
Any kind of violence, especially black on black violence. Let's keep it real.
Right.
But that is not the way we are taught to respect each other, taught to love each other, taught how to handle disagreements.
Right.
And injustice was served for the whole black community by two very well-known black men. And I'm going to be on a little bit on both sides, and I'm not playing the fence. I'm just calling what I see.
Right.
And I don't believe the brother should have, Chris Rock,
right,
should have approached the joke the way he did.
Right.
We know his jokes are out there, but there's a way to tell a joke without hurting.
Especially around when it's someone's health.
Exactly. And
a black woman.
Regardless if he knew or not.
Right.
There must have been tons of different opportunities to crack a joke wonderfully, because he, I love Chris Rock. I love his work.
Right.
But that night I was disappointed, and the reaction that I saw on Will Smith was more or less very personal. Very, very disappointing.
Right.
That he had to go to that route. There's ways to handle it, like take him backstage. Wait, brother, you can walk back there with him.
Right.
And even a few words from his seat, other than the ones that he used.
Right.
Because the eyes are on us, and we always have to be above the fray. We always have to be above the fray. Can you see an Obama doing that? No. Can you see anybody trying to attack Michelle? No. So why attack Jada? And why react the way you did? So I have a little bit on both sides. I love my black women, but don't put everybody in the lowest of the low categories when you react the way you did, and calling out someone with a condition and then the hairstyle on features I was teased as a child because of my size.
Right.
And words do matter.
That's
Yes,
right.
brother.
Words do matter.
And hurt.
Yes. And even though I seen clips afterwards, that Jada didn't take it as bad as it was after a while. It was when she saw Will's reaction. And now hindsight, brings clarity to all. And
I like that.
it really was a triggering moment for Will.
Right.
But it's a triggering moment for a lot of black women and black men.
That's right.
Throughout this country. And we can't add fuel to the fire.
Well, and this why the importance of media. The importance of media that we can tell the story here at Boston Black News. And hear from our listeners, 617-282-0685. We are talking about Black World because we're going to have a serious discussion this morning about what happened at the Oscars and other issues. Because this can be a teachable moment. How would you have handled this if it was me? Now, I seen clips of the Red Table Talk. Yeah. What Jada does, and some of the things that people look at as being authentic and transparent, yes, fine. But when you're a high-profile person, you open yourself up. These are some of the things I'm hearing.
Well, Chris Rock, did he produce or direct the documentary Good Hair?
Yes, he did.
He did.
So he knows.
But the other thing is, those of us who've been on podiums and had to speak, what's the word I want? Extemporaneously, where you just make stuff up as you're going along. Was it one of those off-the-cuff slips of the tongue?
Yeah.
It wasn't. Apparently, it wasn't part of the script. It wasn't part of the pre-approved jokes. And sometimes I wake up in the morning and think about something I've said 10 years ago to somebody, not from a podium so much as just one-on-one, and say, what made me do that?
Right.
And I also have to be honest, I started off with this, nonviolence. But when my sons were little and they were traveling by themselves or with me in the streets of Boston, not just Roxbury, the streets of Boston, they knew that we had to be on guard because there was a combination of racism and criminal activity based on I got a pocketbook could come up. So did I give a mixed message? Probably.
Right.
Probably. I probably did give a mixed message. And then the other message, as I started off with earlier, is always, the whole world is watching you, black girl, black woman, black child, black son. Anything you do, we will be collectively punished for it.
Isn't that something?
We won't be collectively honored for the good things you do, but if you do anything bad, the whole race will be punished for it, And they almost say, there they go again. There they go again.
And you know what? I do not care what anybody say if it means it goes against my principles. And turning the other cheek is acceptable. It's not weak. Weak is reacting.
Right.
Strength. And that's one thing that saved Chris Rock.
Right.
He showed strength by not reacting.
And he got the blessing.
Yes.
The blessing from that.
Yes.
Resisting, restraint.
Exactly.
Holding back. Because it had to turn out the other way.
What if they started fighting?
Oh, man. Well, what if they... Well, you know what really disturbed me even more so? It was a black man, a black company that produced the Oscars.
Yeah, I didn't know that till yesterday or this morning. I just found that out.
And the one time we want to shine, and it will be now forever known as the Oscars, where Will Smith smacked Chris Rock.
His first Oscar.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was real because
I thought it was fake.
I didn't see Chris Rock react, so I said, well, does Will Smith not smack as hard as I've been known to? Because in the past, in the very the far away past, long ago and far away time, if I smacked somebody, male or female, I believe that you would have seen a reaction.
Like fall down?
Like, I didn't see it. So I thought it was fake at first.
It did look scripted.
It looked scripted. The way he walked.
Ooh.
The way he walked down
Yeah.
from the stage, like
Yeah.
he's in a movie,
Yeah.
and they're all actors.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like,
Did they
Okay,
forget?
it's a script.
was it a script? Because I thought they wanted to make it different this year.
Oh, they did, didn't
Oh, they did.
Oh.
And so, again, and I started to make this point, the media has focused so much on that. I mean, it's in every breaking news. Boom. Every national network, local media channels are focusing on that. And you're not focusing on the Samuel Jackson. I mean,
The highlights, the true highlights.
the
For
true
us,
highlights.
for us,
true
yeah.
highlights.
For us, the true highlight.
And it
yeah.
really, really darkened the whole event.
Darkened, he says.
Yeah.
No, but whatever happens in the dark should come out in the light.
Oh, go ahead, Brother Corey.
And I'm a God-fearing person,
Yeah.
and Jesus turned the other cheek.
Mm.
And not meaning, not trying to be funny about it, but no pun intended. Chris Rock did,
He did.
and that's the biggest lesson from this whole thing. Because if you can turn the cheek after being smacked on national TV, that's why people were so supportive of Chris Rock.
Right.
And that's why his tickets in Boston soared.
To $1,000.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I'm not up to this.
Well, it's
I mean,
30,
up to
it
date.
was 31 to 71.
What, Chris Rock has a show coming here or something?
No, it was here last night.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
I
last
didn't
night.
know.
He was at the Wilbur Theater.
Yep, and it was the first appearance out after the slap that was
They had CNN, MSNBC.
in Boston. That's right.
Did we have Boston Black News down there?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Kevin Peterson was there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I know we were represented some type of way, and the tickets went from 31 to 71 to $1,000
And up to 1,300.
and up to 1,300.
Yes.
And what he said from what was reported on the media outlet is that if you came here to hear, no, he said, how was your weekend? And if you came in here, blank, 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 what happened in my weekend, we're not going to do. I spent the whole time putting this show together, and that's what we're here to do. And again, how folks really reacts to violence. It's like the tickets soared. Everyone took, advantage of that situation, a bad situation for us as a people here at Boston Black News. And they hike. Everyone's just talking about it. And what have I done? Now, I've seen some women, and I want to hear from you, sister, about this. I'm glad my man stood up for me, because I would feel bad if my man sat there and let another brother insult me in front of millions of people.
I'm going to go to my background in mental health and substance use disorder recovery. And we talk to people about ego meaning easing God out. I'm looking at Pastor Wall as I say it.
He wasn't sleeping, was he?
Easing. And I don't know, because I took my glasses off. I can't see.
So you heard his name. When you heard his name, he woke up.
But when you ease God out, if the word God is not comfortable for some people, if you ease the higher power out, and do you react for a reaction? I want you to know that I'm so bad that if somebody insults my child or this or that, I will stand up and slap the mess out of them. That's about me. It ain't really about you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
If I forget that I'm supposed to be walking in Jesus' steps or some higher power's steps, I've eased out of that path and decided that I must defend this person in a really unacceptable way. How do I go back and teach my grandchildren about Martin Luther King and nonviolence? Yes, I do tell them about the Deacons for Defense that stood there to say, if you come at us, we're peaceful, and prepared.
That's right.
That's not the same thing. Mm-hmm. That's not the same thing as saying we're going to go on a nonviolent action.
Right.
It's a Corey's saying it as simply as it can be. You're either nonviolent or you're not.
That's right. Yeah. You looked at me like I'm violent.
Did I?
You got that poker look? Is that like? Did
I have my game face on? It's a hard subject for me because part of me.
You know what I felt? It's like I know you from Mission Hill, and you gave me that look.
Well, part of me feels like a hypocrite because I have been known in my past to slap the mess out of somebody who I felt justly deserved it. But what a message!
Yeah.
What a message. It doesn't do well to be grandma.
That's right.
Great grandma, my dear, and I will slap the mess. Matter of fact, my godmother from Birmingham, Alabama, she and her sisters did not like any of the Medea movies.
Really?
They had a real Medea, and they said she didn't carry a pistol and she didn't threaten to slap anybody. She was a God-fearing, church-going, Sunday school teaching woman, and she didn't slap anybody.
All she had to do was look. That look. My mother had that look.
See, what we really need to learn is how to verbalize our feelings.
Yeah.
Adequately and succinctly. And I think it was more about Will's ego.
That's what I'm saying. That's ego.
Not Jada's.
Wow.
Because he couldn't come back with a Chris Rock type of joke. So he unleashed emotionally.
Interesting.
You know, if he had a tongue and a wit like that, he would have probably challenged him at his level.
Right.
And he felt lower. But what we do and what we learn when we ascend is that to hold our thoughts and our opinions until the right time and the right moment. And that was not it. Just because you got a large audience meant that it was the right time. And it was more his personal ego.
Easing God up. Do you remember how we felt collectively when y'all were having the announcement of the Black Male Advancement Commission at the bowling building? And we had like a worship service for an hour and a half or so. It was just the most beautiful, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, on that note, let's all support a black man that's doing really well for the community, and in a job that's first is Frank Farrell.
That's right.
And Isaac.
That's right.
And I want to really talk about black men who are making a change and a difference and really doing an impact instead of somebody that's smacking somebody.
That's right. Well, that's why I started out with the broadcast.
Yes.
With Samuel Jackson.
And I'm going to leave on this. The budget is coming up for that.
We better be down there.
And we got to make sure that the money is put in place for the black and brown boys and men in this country.
That's right.
In this city.
Intentionally done.
Yes.
But how we felt after that moment when man after man and elected female officials, women officials had praised black men and black women, like Sister, what's her name? Elfrida Harris.
That's right.
Man after man talked about, I wouldn't be the man I was today if it wasn't for Mama Elfrida Harris. And here comes this media person out of nowhere, and the first thing out of her mouth, Mayor Michelle Wu calls on her, and the first thing out of her mouth, Mayor Wu, can we talk about your PPE, COVID restrictions? And all of us were like,
What?
Are you tone deaf?
That's right.
And I stood up. And see, I think sometimes this is going to help me become a believer again.
It does happen in this space.
My back just crunched up again, and I had to sit right back down because I was on my way over to her to say, what in the... And it was going to come out in a violent way, even speech-wise.
But you ascended.
I don't know if I ascended, brother, or if a higher power said, sit down.
You ascended by showing your humanity. So you didn't react.
I tried
and
to.
that's what
I did try to.
That's what this moment should really teach us.
Well, but let me just say this too. The reaction was that we all reacted to the comment.
Everybody
We were like, what? Like that was the most unifying moment that I've seen in the boat.
It felt like a collective slap. It felt like a collective slap.
Will, you know what I mean? You could have just went, right? And get them back when you collected your Oscars.
Catch you outside. Catch you outside. I don't understand.
So we're here talking about a very important issue in our community, black issues. Talk, black people, right? And so we want you to call in and join our conversation. We've been talking about the incident that happened at the Oscars and how there have been various views out there. It's lit up the social media outlets. And one thing that I recognize is that we're not praising and supporting and advertising Samuel Jackson, who received his Oscar, given by Denzel Washington, two awesome actors over the years, black men. We're going to talk more about black men because you didn't switch it. But I do want to talk about a black woman that's being humiliated by a certain party, Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Ooh.
Judge Ketanji with grace. Talking about resistance.
I don't
Calmness.
know how she does it.
I don't
know how she does
but
it.
Again.
But I don't have the temperament to be a judge then. You have to have I went to law school for a couple of years. I'm not a lawyer, but I read a lot about judicial temperament. Mm-hmm. Will Smith and I definitely do not exemplify. I had to stop watching. I was watching it on C-SPAN, so it didn't get any cut on it, if you will, from a media person's take on it. Thank you. And I just had to I turned my computer off because the things that they were asking this so educated woman.
Oh, she's sharp.
And the things they don't ask. I read top public consumer advocate Ralph Nader said, nobody's asking her opinion on corporate power.
Thank you.
So this is theater in a way.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. They want to keep saying that she's only been nominated because she's black and a woman, which is not true. Right. If I say I'm specifically looking to expand diversity and inclusion on my staff, I'm going to make sure that black and brown people or some other group, with me it would be some other group that aren't represented. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean I'm specific. It's like when they set aside contracts for certain people to bid on, it doesn't mean, that contract is just for Corey or just for Ron. It's anybody that fits that class, protected class. That's who I'm looking for.
Right.
That's what that means. It does not mean he specifically only chose her because she's black. And we keep letting white folks and conservative blacks get away with that. Oh, she doesn't have the credentials.
Right.
It's just because she's black or a woman.
I mean, it's theater. It was all theater.
Well, look at D.A. Rollins.
Oh.
But go ahead.
More theater. And we have to call it out for what it is.
Yeah.
Because if we don't do that, then we're letting people be misled.
And what a great platform we have here to be able to call out. Because
injustice.
Yes.
Inhumanity.
Yes.
And righteousness. Let's call it what it is. Let's be righteous around her. Let's be protective of a black woman in the right way.
Well, speaking of calling what it is, we do have a caller on the line. Caller, you're live on Boston Black News.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know that you only have a few minutes left, so I'll be brief.
Okay.
I watched as much as I could watch of the confirmation hearings myself, but I have what I suspicion is going to be a different take.
I imagine so.
I think they should. The question they did ask her one important question that she didn't have an answer for, that being, what is a woman? I thought it was a very relevant question, considering that she may at some point have to rule on Roe versus Wade, which in its ruling states that a woman has the right. And if you're a justice and you don't know what a woman is, that could be a problem when you come to rule on that. So I thought that was an interesting thing.
Okay.
But more importantly, the thing that really disturbed me is that they should have been asking her about her rulings and her positions on pedophiles, and the fact that she, historically and verifiable, had constantly argued and given one pedophile who was caught with over 6,000 images on his computer, she gave him sentenced him to the bare minimum. And then she also lobbied or advocated for the removal of the list, I forgot what it's called now, but the listing where you have to register, the sex abuse register. She has argued against the sex offender registry, saying it was unconstitutional, even though the courts had ruled in the past that it is constitutional.
Okay.
So my issue with her has to do with her being obviously slack on pedophiles and pedophilia.
Okay.
And then, of course, not being able to answer the question about what's a woman.
So that's your two. Was it two? You want to respond to that, Zakiya?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
Does anybody want to respond?
You want to respond?
Okay. She said that she couldn't respond to what is the legal definition of a woman, I believe is what the context was.
No, she's biological is what she said.
Oh, that's right, biological.
Okay.
Because she said she wasn't a scientist, right? And that she wouldn't be asked it that way in a court case. Is that better? A better representation of what she said?
Yeah.
Okay, it's closer.
Oh,
what about what about the rulings on the pedophiles?
I didn't hear that. I can't respond to it.
I'm not going to respond to that one.
Yeah, I didn't hear it. But thank you for raising that issue. We have some other callers coming up. Caller, you're live on Boston Black News. You have a question that you wanted to mention? What was that about Pfizer you mentioned?
No, that was my comment.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying that no one has brought up the whole Pfizer twist in this whole thing.
Yes.
I don't know if any of you guys know about that.
No, I don't.
Please do.
So,
Enlighten.
Pfizer is a sponsor of the Oscars.
Okay.
And also, with this whole thing coming out, the
Alopecia
thing
medicine
has been brought to the light.
Yeah.
Right.
Pfizer is coming out with a treatment for
Yeah.
alopecia.
Yeah. So.
See,
I don't know.
I don't know. see this. If it's a bad joke, it's a bad script.
Oh. Yeah, that would be like making fun of somebody who has that disease where black people lose their pigment. You know, I can't imagine making fun of a person.
Any disease.
Well, I'm not supposed to make fun of anybody.
Well, you know, it's
according to what my mother and father taught me anyway.
We don't know. We're speculating, but it's you never know until you find out the facts, right?
Yeah.
So we don't pass judgment here. So
But thank you.
I appreciate
provocative,
that. Because now it's starting to make me lean back the other way.
Yeah, right.
Because
was it scripted? I don't know.
I know it sounded hard. But if I'd have hit you that hard, you would have failed, though.
I can't imagine. Because he works out. I mean, he's buff. He's been an action hero or something, hasn't he, Will Smith?
It was a sad day in America.
Right.
We're going to kid this. Yeah, but Ketanji Brown Jackson. So, you know, we wish the sister well. She's done us proud.
And she's going to be the judge.
And she's going to be a Supreme Court Justice. So therefore, that's an achievement that we're going to recognize. We want to recognize and acknowledge the achievements in Boston Black News. Yes, we want to talk about issues, but we want to talk about repairment and treatment for these issues because we all got our stuff, and so we need to help and support one another. So the Black Male Advancement Office. Okay, it's been moving along. The brothers have been meeting.
Yeah.
You know, Corey and I sit on the committee, and then we have our sister who comes in and
once in a while. I've been there once in a
checking
while.
us, making sure we're doing it. Frank Fowler, we want to congratulate you. Okay, yeah. We want to congratulate you for your role as the new executive director and your team. Things seem to be moving ahead. So we want to make sure everyone's not too close to the mic because of what happens at the feedback. But yeah, I just wanted to have this conversation because There are a lot of black boys that are going through a lot of issues around mental health. And I have seen it. I've experienced it personally with my son and other sons that I've taught through Mission Hill in the community. And one of the things that D.A. Hayden had mentioned is that they're looking at ways to bring back some of the models of the 90s with the Safe Neighborhood initiatives. When I worked at Mission Hill Community Centers, we had different program case managers. Yes, we have to tweak it to like a 2.0 because 2022, these young people are a lot different, but they are still our children, right? And also, our young people may be over 18, but they still have childish thoughts. What are we going to do?
I think we better. Oh, I'm sorry, Corey. I think we better look at some of the models that exist right now. Excuse me. Many they are centered in the Family Nurturing Center,
right?
That we are all connected with. I had a meeting with Marcus Lewis, who Corey and I just met recently at a meeting at the Family Nurturing Center, and he talked to me about the Village in Progress program, the trauma team, and the concept of these hubs where once a month 20 or 30 decision makers in different social service agencies, as well as the community side of the police department, they get together and they present cases. And then everybody decides how they're going to serve that individual and his or her family. And I didn't know it still existed. I'd heard of it,
right? But
it still exists. And then you have Marcus and his team are out on the street every day talking to young people. We were meeting because, it's my responsibility to put together a couple of workshops on substance use disorder and recovery for the Bowdoin Geneva community. And I wanted to know step by step what happens when somebody in their neighborhood comes up to him and says, I have a problem. It starts even before then because he and his team are so observant. They can see who's getting out of certain housing situations at 8 in the morning and standing out waiting for I started to say alcohol place, which a liquor store to open.
Wow.
They can see who's out there selling the loose or single cigarettes. They got all that data.
Wow.
They don't use it to imprison people. They use it to try to get them the services they need. So he's somebody I'm going to recommend to you to have on soon. He's a wealth of information.
That's awesome.
And not just information, action.
Action.
What to do when you find out somebody does have a problem, a challenge, that the community happens to have resources to bring to bear. One of the things we're going to do this summer is have a welcome home event for men coming home from South Bay.
Okay.
Why? Because Richard Clater has brought South Bay, Suffolk County House of Correction, the heads of the reentry program to the table.
Right.
So we can do that.
And to that note, I'm scheduling a meeting with him.
Yep.
And Samantha Taylor from.
Okay.
And the whole. It starts. It's bigger. It's a bigger issue than we realize.
Right.
Because without stability in the home, without a home to go to, all of this is just recycling issues through incarceration of black men and women.
Right.
That aren't housed, not properly housed. And I don't want to sound like beating a bad phrase.
Sorry.
I'm going over and over how the importance. I can't overstate the importance of housing and stability in the community.
Right.
Because without that, we tend to repeat the things that got us there.
The cycle.
That
Just
cycle
over and
of,
over again.
and if you are trying to do good, and if you're trying to do good and change your life, but you're forced to be in a triggering situation in housing that did that, you're about to go back into that situation. So if we can just break that cycle with 9 months to a year of housing,
Right.
it will save more. The money that you would pay for that housing is actually cheaper to house someone in a jail cell.
Right.
Tell us what would happen after the 9 months to a year, brother.
Well, during that period, you'll be getting workforce development.
Right.
And through that period, you will now have the opportunity to have a job that can support housing. And you will transition from one situation where you're now getting back reacclimated to society, and then now you're positioning yourself to be able to be on your own or with someone if you choose so.
Right.
But we're not. The programs that exist aren't there
They're not
to,
there.
to support individuals, and it's more than just one shot and then you're gone. You get a full, well-rounded approach, a holistic approach to well-being. So if you fix people, if you support people from a holistic point of view, we will truncate and stop this vicious cycle of incarceration that we have in our community.
And it's so hypocritical, I would say, when you see all these buildings going up on every block, right? And beautiful buildings, some look good, some are cheap, but it's housing. But they're made for people who don't even live here. I mean, that's been a major problem. It is so many, the wealth from Fenway, Back Bay, compared to Mission Hill, Roxbury, it's inequity.
It's the wealth and even
I
the
mean,
length of time you have on the planet differs
yeah.
by 12, 13
30.
years. 30 years. If you cross the line from Lower Roxbury to the
You
South
can walk
End.
there.
Yeah.
You don't even need to take the T. Yeah. I mean, that's how bad it is, from rich to poor.
Corey has brought up an interesting concept. I'm concerned because housing is so expensive,
Right.
and entry-level jobs I don't think pay enough. So are we saying we as a society are going to make sure that there is deeply subsidized housing for people?
Well, it's a holistic approach, like I said, where you have subsidized housing for those who are financially challenged and socially and financially disadvantaged.
Okay.
Yeah, well, let me this is a good discussion. You guys going to stay around for a little while?
Sure.
We're going to continue this discussion on our next broadcast because this is really good because there's so many issues to talk about. Again, we're going to be right back. We're going to take a station break, and we're going to continue the discussion with Zakiya, Alake, and Corey Thompson, who are two heroes and sheroes of mine.
Oh,
Be right back.
thank you.